Well, good morning, Jaginder Rana here. The topic for our discussion today is terminology of liability insurance. Terminology of liability insurance. Civil liability under common law means a body of law consisting of past court decisions and customs and usages recognized by courts. Liability contingent means liability for damages arising out of the acts or omissions of the others who are not employee or agent of the entity held responsible. Liability assumed under some contract such as lease that would not be present except for the contract is known as contractual liability. Criminal liability is enforced by the state and it results into punishment in the form of fine or imprisonment or both. Any form of coverage whereby the insured is protected against claims or other parties from specified events is known as the liability insurance. So, Liability Insurance Act policy under Public Liability Insurance Act 1991. Hazardous substance effective date is 1st April 1991 for new owners and 1st April 92 for existing owners. That says to provide through insurance immediate relief by owner to persons affected due to accident, fortuitous occurrence or unintentional occurrence while handling, for example, manufacturing, processing, treatment, package, storage, transportation by vehicle, use, collection, destruction, conversion, offering for sale, transfer or the like, hazardous substances with any substance of reparation which by its reason of its chemical or physiochemical properties or handling is liable to cause harm to human beings, other creatures, plants, microorganism property or the environment under the Environment Protection Act 1986 and is notified by the central government like Public Liability Insurance Act 91 on no fault liability basis. So insurance limit is any one accident, minimum equal to paid up capital to maximum of rupees 5 crores. Any 1 year up to a maximum of rupees 15 crores. So liability beyond insurance limit is to be met by environmental relief fund. Further liability beyond total insurance and ERF, that is environmental relief fund, to be borne by the other owner, by the owner. So the contribution to relief fund equal to insurance premium to be paid to the underwriting company, limit of indemnity, single limit to be selected, not below the paid up capital of the insured up to maximum of rupees 5 crore. So measure of indemnity is no fault basis, that is death and total permanent disability is rupees 25,000 only. Permanent partial disability on the basis of percentage of disablement as certified by authorized physicians. Loss of wages due to temporary total permanent disability not exceeding rupees 1,000 per month up to maximum of 3 months subject to hospitalization exceeding 3 days and victim being above 16 years of age. Medical expenses up to rupees 12,500. Additional in all above cases. Property damage up to rupees 6,000 on all damage to private property not belonging to leased to or under any other control of owner. So maximum liability of insurer as per limit is there. Now insurance against loss due to claims for damages because of bodily injury including death to persons not employees is known as the bodily injury liability and cover carriers legal liability as per the provisions of Carriers Act 1865. In order to provide an insurance cover to the common carrier and transporters against the stipulation of the absolute liability under the Carriers Act, the Carriers Legal Liability Policy has been devised. So at present the Carriers Legal Liability Policy covers At present, the carrier's legal liability policy gives the coverage like basic cover, covers damage to goods caused by fire, explosion, and or accident to the vehicle carrying the goods due to negligence or criminal act of his servants. So the cover will commence with the loading of the cargo and end with its unloading. As far as wider cover is concerned, the following risks are covered and wider cover, which is allowed as a package deal, and no partial extension may be allowed. So damage to cargo as in basic cover, damage by fire, burglary, riot and strike, malicious damage affecting the goods at warehouses or transshipment yards, violation in the custody of the carrier, shortage of goods due to theft or pilferage of cargo at any time, violation in the custody of the carrier, and breakage, leakage, damage due to improper handling. The policy excludes riot and strike available as add-on, war perils, nuclear and radiation perils, contractual liabilities, liability to own employees, agents and sub-agents and their properties and belonging that is lost due to inherent defects, mechanical or electrical derangement, consequential loss, and carriage of illegal, illicit or smuggled goods. The cover is during transit, incidental storage, transshipment, and up to 7 days after reaching final place. Liability insurance character says this covers the damage sustained by vessel during the period of charter for which the characters are held legally liable. This also covers demurrage if the vessel is delayed to carry out repairs for which the characters are held legally liable. Cinema's liability insurance policy covers legal liability for accidental bodily injury, accidental damage to property of third parties. Policy also covers legal liability for accidental bodily injury, illness of a third party caused by poisonous or foreign or deleterious matter in food or drink served in the auditorium. Then clinical and trial insurance policy. The policy covers the sum which the insured shall be liable to pay as damage compensation for claims made by subject for death or injury or any other adverse reaction in the body as a result of participating in clinical trial. So the term insured would include all stakeholders in the trial. The cover includes legal cost also. Breaches of data may also be covered. The policy is generally issued on no-fault principles. The policy may be a single trial or multi-trial policy. Post-trial coverage is also offered for a limited period as decided. The territorial limits are also specified. The policy does not extend to cover damage within permissible limits as are to be expected within such trials, deliberate contravention of instructions by the subject, deterioration of conditions which would normally have occurred even without the trial, war and nuclear perils, unfitness and penalties. Liability insurance, commercial general liability, combined general liability, common general liability. So the commercial general liability policy is an ISO form widely used to provide commercial enterprises with premises and operation of liability coverage, products and computer operations, insurance and personal injury coverage. Premises medical payments coverage is often included as well. Under it, public liability and indemnity provided is for a claim due to a legal liability arising out of accident occurring in the insured premises arising out of the injury or damage. So in case of a product liability policy, the indemnity is for the claim due to legal liability arising out of accidents, arising out of defects in product specified. So in contrast, the operative clause of commercial general liability cover for legal liability to pay damages because of bodily injury or property damage. There are no limitations for cover in terms of insured premises or products specified, as long as the occurrence and claims are in coverage, territory specified, thereby providing a wider covers. So commercial general liability also provides cover for supplemental payments, medical expenses, and fire damages. The cover range is restricted to cover only third-party liabilities. Then there is contractual liability. Insurance against loss under a contractual liability agreement is there. Cyber crime liability is there. The scope of the policy is cover. The scope of the policy is to cover cyber liability exposures like libel, hacking, inadvertent virus transmissions, copyright infringement, loss of identity. The policy coverage is on the lines of an errors and omissions policy to cover liabilities arising out of hacking, email frauds, web developing, website maintenance, and e-commerce. Then there is the director and officers liability insurance. So the corporate decisions that did not materially affect other people today, powerful impinge on their lives, and the subject matter has a direct bearing on the potential liabilities of corporate directors and officers today. So the increase in litigation against directors reflects the change in the attitude of the general public towards greater management accountability. And hence the position of a director is becoming far more onerous. Actions are most likely to be commended in relation to the actual or alleged breach of trust, breach of duty or warranty of authority, neglect or omission, error or misstatement or misleading statement, and failure to supervise or regulate properly. So who might bring in action? Shareholders alleging financial loss attributable to failure by directors or officers responsible. Employees alleging unfair dismissal, discrimination, sexual harassment, or mismanagement of pension funds. Customers alleging that they have suffered financial loss following wrongful advice on the application or suitability of products. Competitors alleging that their business have been adversely affected by restrictive trade practices, for example, price fixing. Members of the public failure to affect them and maintain adequate control or service. Regulatory bodies for offences under the company's ordinance or breaches in similar legislation. What could be the potential allegations? The following is the first provide typical examples of wrongful acts which could be alleged against a director or officer, though this is not an exhaustive list, like inaccurate statement of financial conditions, errors in annual accounts, conflict of interest, lack of judgment, diligence or good faith, misstatement of funds, misstatement in prospectus, allotment of shares, unauthorized or imprudent loans or investments, failure to obtain competitive bids, imprudent expansion, wrongful dismissal of an employee. Then comes the liability of hotel owners. Policy covers legal liability of hotel owners for accidental body injury, including death or any visitor or guest, including violation using facilities such as health club, beauty parlor, shared desserts, shops, swimming pools, lifeguard provided sports, indoor table tennis, squash bowling, etc. Outdoor boating, deep sea diving, etc. School hang gliding, school diving seats. So the insurable interest is most important here because insurable interest is the legal right to insure. The three essentials of insurable interest are the existence of a potential legal liability which is capable of being insured. Such potential liability must be the subject matter of insurance, and the insured must bear a legal relationship to the subject matter whereby he will benefit on freedom from liability and will lose financially on creation of liability. So legal liability related to left and third parties. Policy covers legal liability for accidental bodily injury, accidental direct damage to wearing apparel or personal effects of third parties in connection with the insured lift, including machinery, plant, doors, safety devices, or other appliances. Liquor liability policy is also there. This policy is designed for manufacturers, distributors, etc. of alcoholic beverages. So the policy covers the liability excluded under CGL policy. Policy is also available to bars, restaurants, etc. for their so-called liquor liability, imposed by common law or by statutes. Then liability insurance policy for market tools, medical practitioners, professional indemnity, cargo liability is there. In addition, the product recall insurance, product and completed operation liability, product guarantee insurance policy, product liability, professional malpractices, public liability, industrial risk, and liability of stock brokers liability. Then there is certain terms which are applicable to liability insurance policy. Thank you. Thank you very much.